class. My name is Shannon Gordon. I'll be giving you a class on transgender in today's society. I want to give you a brief introduction. Gender has become an increasingly complex topic. Sex and gender are more fluid than before. There is new understanding to sexual orientation and gender identity. The public sector is making policies and decisions to incorporate the new conception of transgender employees. Policies and practices, however, very challenging in the workplace for transgenders, both in the personal and professional scopes. Few institutions have officially addressed the transgender employee issue in formal policies. Most organizations work on a case-by-case method, making it unclear to locate leadership stance. Related to transgender transition is the increased risk of exposure to discrimination from the workplace due to transitioning. The private policy becomes redundant because of the public and co-workers' knowledge of transition. The reaction may plays out in two ways. The co-workers will adjust according to be more inclusive of trans who have transitioned, or they can also be negative towards them. Studies show that 9 out of 10 trans employees are harassed in the workplace. Transgender people are more likely to face stigma and discrimination at any workplace. In the presence of the high double rate of unemployment, most of the employed may withhold their transitioning desires due to fear of ridicule, embarrassment, and discrimination. This may lead to more unemployed trans who have been forced to be in underground survival economics such as sex, work, drugs, and other activities in search of an income. The 2012 study of an Out Now Global LGBT 2020 revealed that transgender people have fears of coming out because it will hurt their prospect. 1 in 2 trans felt that publicly acknowledging their gender identity would be a barrier to their career prospect. They refer to management and hair removal. They require multidiscipline and trans experienced healthcare specialists who are rarely and costly. Adding to this, general health care for transgender has various difficulties, especially discrimination as reported by many studies from different countries. Goals for transitioning. Most of the negative behavior from coworkers and even management stem from the lack of understanding from the point of view of transgender transitioning. Education is essential in this regard because it opens up the workplace to training, helps the coworkers learn more and comprehend the challenges transgenders have to go through on a day-to-day basis, the medical procedures they undergo, the risks and strain involved. Leave benefits are a solution for transition who require a long period of time, especially when surgical procedures are involved. Just as a coworker would get a leave for giving birth, medical care, and other health reasons, the same principle should apply to transgenders. Other policies that align with transitioning should also be observed. There should be a workplace transition place that state the date for informing the coworkers about the transition, how transition employees can prepare, and the first day the employee officially resumes work after transition. Health benefits and packages of the institution should be fully accessible to transition trans to help ease the financial burden of the process. There are multiple terminology when it comes to gender, according to Christian 2012. Terminology meaning a gender. Individuals indicate that they have no gender identity. Bigender, individuals that identify to having two genders and have both or move between them both. Cisgender, individuals identify to their gender assigned at birth. Cross-dresser, individuals that dress in what is conventional, not their genders, dressing but a binary gender. Female to male transgender, individuals who plan on or have had female to male reassignment surgery. Male to female transgender, individuals who plan or have had male to female reassignment surgery. Gender nonconforming, individuals that do not recognize with the traditional gender identities. Gender queer, individuals who do not ascertain to be male or female. Hijra, individuals that claim not to be male or female but traditionally dress like females. Intersex, intergender, individuals born with sexual organs which do not fit traditional binary consideration. Two-spirit, individuals that have masculine and feminine aspects. Trans, The term covers all individuals that identify within transgender spectrum. When it comes to transgender in the workplace policy, just to name a few: government, the federal, state, or cities, the impact is high. Enact policies and programs to protect transgenders and people. Human resources, management of organizations via hiring and firing promotions, implement policies that are non-discriminatory, maintain exclusive, respectable workplaces. Transgenders, individuals who want to transition, impact is high to transition from female to male or male to female. Agreements and conflicts among stakeholders. Effective policy making and implementation requires agreements among the vested stakeholders. All stakeholders should agree that any policy level intervention is aimed at benefiting the transgender person in the workplace. The laws enacted by the federal, state, or city are the protection of transgender staff. The institution is mandated to give health packages for their transgender employees. These health benefits can act as incentives for the insurance companies to accept to cover the staff for gender affirming procedures. The Affordable Care Act has banned discrimination centered on sex, gender identity, or orientation. Most insurers deny covering transition and stating that they are cosmetic in nature, thus not medical necessary. The solution to this conflict is to have clear definition and specification of what gender affirming care is and the procedures required. It is also important for doctors and surgeons in the private sector to accept insurance as a mode of payment for service rendered. I'll ask the question again: what is the best solution to reduce exposure to discrimination of the transition of transgender in the workplace? There are diverse policies that have been enacted to help transgender in the workplace. Transition policy in the most states is only on paper, and most government institutions and companies have not put in place the measures needed, such as transition-related benefits trans personnel will receive for their health care. States the main elements of a transition process are a transition plan, transition team, assistance from human resources, a record change, a medical leave, the managerial responsibility, and follow-ups. These elements provide care, inclusion, and guidance for transitioning workers during the process of gender changing. Transitioning individuals will be expected to continue conducting their responsibility professionally and express their identity freely without fear of being discriminated or harassed. The first step is to inform the immediate supervisor or the manager. They should then be provided with people that will assist that make a transition plan. The plan will address issues to do with if, how, as well as when to announce to coworkers about their transition, dress code, use of restrooms, use of locker rooms if available, change or the name on the identification cards, payroll, name badges, emails, and the pronoun they desire to use. My